anytime you want to do a TikTok duet, I'm available.
Okay, no, I definitely thought that. I just, I got to get my courage, you know what I mean?
I got you.
And get ready, and then trust and believe. I'm hitting you
Okay.
up.
All right, you better text me immediately when you get that courage, okay?
Indeed.
Oh, okay, awesome. I'm so excited to talk to you. And before we dive in, so I just wanted to introduce myself. If there's anybody on this IG Live who doesn't know me, I'm Allison. I'm a marketing and communications manager for music companies and artists. I do these IG Lives bi-monthly, and I talk to experts like Felisha about music marketing on different topics. Today, we're going to talk, me and Felisha, for about 20 minutes, and then we're going to have the last 10 minutes set aside for audience questions, which are also a really fun part of doing this. So if anybody's got questions, just drop them in the question box. That just makes it easier for me to find them when they come through, and then I can pull them up so everybody can see them. So yeah, let's get it started. Felisha, I would love for you to introduce yourself and what you do.
Okay, great. I'm an entrepreneur. I've been in the music industry for almost 18 years now, something like that.
Wow.
And I started in Cleveland, Ohio, moved to New York to like really work in the business. And I started there at Electro Records. And after about a year, decided I wanted to start my own conference for music producers because there was nothing for producers at the time. Mm-hmm. Everything was geared toward artists. And so I left Electra, launched Dynamic Producer, and did that for many, many, many years, where we helped to educate and provide opportunities to up-and-coming producers. And, we did our events. In the latter years, we got into sync and did a lot of pitching and placing music for television and film. And maybe almost 3 years ago, I started the process of pivoting into the music tech space, where I'm currently living and loving all the challenges and opportunities that lie ahead.
Absolutely. Yeah. And actually, I should say that's how we met, is through Music Tectonics. So if anybody in this chat is from Music Tectonics and wants to introduce themselves too, because I did get a lot of community involvement from people who heard we were having this talk today. So yeah, from that group, yeah, which was so exciting. So I was like, if anybody joins from Music Tectonics, let us know so we can say hello.
Shout out.
Yeah. Right, exactly. Yeah, we're like a little family here. So I love it.
We gotta get some type of like signal or something.
Like some kind of bad signal.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So what attracted you to music? What's your history with music? What's your relationship? Why do you work in the industry?
I just, when I was young, I was writing poetry. And then I started writing songs. And when I went to college, I started working at an independent record label called Unum. And I started as a songwriter, then I was an A&R, then I was a manager. And then I was like, oh, wait, like this is my thing. Like, I love this. I love being in the studio. I love helping artists and producers. And that's really where it came from.
Wow. So it just felt like the right thing for you.
Yeah. I mean, I've always loved music. You know what I mean? Like from a child, you know what I mean? And the interesting thing is like, my mom, like she never really played a lot of music other than like gospel music. But really? Like I was always into hip hop, early on, where I couldn't even, or I had to like hide tapes from my mother because I was like playing stuff I probably wasn't supposed to be playing at a certain age.
Me too. I wasn't allowed to watch MTV either, and I would sneak out at night and watch it.
Yeah, like it was definitely a situation. But no, I just always loved music. I mean, I don't know, it just makes me feel good, and I'm like, who doesn't love music? And then once I started to learn a little bit more about the business, then I became just more passionate about helping, creators, because it just seemed like they always needed so much help.
Definitely. And who were your idols when you were little? Like, who did you really love when you were smaller in the music industry?
Like young?
Yeah. Like, who was your first, who were you a big fan of at first?
Sheesh. There was a group called The Boys that I absolutely loved. I was
I'm gonna have to
definitely
look
like
them up.
like a Belle Biv DeVoe, you know, Jodeci, Mary J,
Yes.
uh, Too Short, you know, like living in Cleveland. We actually, I think, got a little bit more West Coast and down South than East Coast. And
Mm.
so it was funny, like years later, I remember when I first met Pete Rock, and I was like, you know, I've never actually listened to like an album of yours. And he was just cracking up. It was just so funny because it was just like I know like you've done all these great things, but like in Cleveland, like, you know, I don't know, it was just more West Coast, down
Mm-hmm.
south, you know, but I love everybody, particularly for what they do. Like I feel like
Yeah.
I'm a different type of fan. The only type of music I don't like is like heavy metal or um heavy metal, and that might be it. You
Do you
know,
like country too?
I do.
Yeah. Okay.
I do.
So no screaming or just like heavy metal. Heavy metal.
Yeah, like I need to understand what's going on. Like, you know, I need to feel like it's not satanic music. You know what I mean? Like I need, like, I don't know, but yeah, I like all music because I like artists for who they are. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And I think that when you feel a certain way, you want to hear a certain thing. So
Yeah. I agree. Yeah, I think metal, heavy metal, I'm the same as you, where it's not my first choice. And then country music too. I think I've gone into like the older stuff, the more classics, but I haven't really connected with newer country. You know,
there's a lot of music though out there. So
right? Like I can't say I hate all of one genre like that. That's not true. It's like there are genres that I haven't with as much as like hip hop and R&B and pop and things like that. So I'm right there with you. So today we're going to be actually, debunking some of these music marketing, strongly held beliefs that maybe have carried over from, past eras of the industry. So this kind of overall myth that you and I first talked about, musicians have to be everywhere and do everything. Where do you think that started? Like, where do you think that came from?
I think it came from all the platforms that want you to come on their platform and do something. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like when you reach a certain level, it's important to, well, let me say this. It's cool to be discoverable anywhere, right?
Right.
Like, there's nothing wrong with distributing your music to every platform that will take it because you never know who will stumble upon it,
Mm-hmm.
whatever. But when we talk about actually like focusing your effort, energy, and maybe marketing spend on platforms, I think it's just too much to be trying to feel like you have to be everywhere at the same time. And I think that, like, just as humans, we only use so many apps at a time. You know, if
Right.
somebody's supposed to go on Twitter and go on YouTube or go on Facebook, and, you know, I think that you can be much more impactful, you know, if you pick less platforms and try to penetrate those more,
Mm-hmm.
you
And
know?
do you feel that fans can sometimes sense if you're trying to do too much, like if you're kind of spreading yourself too thin? Do you think that's something that maybe could work against you if fans pick up on that?
No, I'm not going to. I'm gonna say that fans have a lot going on.
Yeah, yeah.
And so like I don't think that it would look like you're trying to do too much. I just think that what would typically happen is that you wouldn't be consistent on all of those platforms. So
That's a better
then
way to put it. Yeah.
you could have been building up momentum on one, but instead you're spreading it out. And
Mhm.
so I think that's probably where the problem comes.
That's a better way to put it, I think, is like fans might not immediately see that, but they might feel like you're being inconsistent in some way.
Exactly. Or they might see something one time and they like it, but you know, like you know, marketing and consumerism, like people have to see things multiple times. So the more times they have an opportunity to engage with you and your music, the better off you're going to be.
Yeah, what's that stat? It used to be that people had to see something like 7 times for it to really settle in. And now I think it's jumped to like 18 times just based on the saturation
I'm
of
sure.
content, right? So it's like you got to be consistent with whatever marketing you choose to do.
Absolutely.
Yeah, totally agree. So myth number one that you and I talked about was that an artist has to be on every music listening or publishing site. So, you know, that means like you have to be on Spotify and you have to be on YouTube and you have to be here and here and here. And you and I talked a lot in depth about how that's not really true. Do you want to expand on that a little bit more?
Yeah, and I think part of it also goes back into the marketing. You know, an indie artist is only going to have so much money to spend anyway.
Yep.
And so when you start trying to, you know, target ads and do different things, like I just think it makes sense to, you know, focus in on, you know, maybe one or two, you know, and work it and kind of see how it goes. I also think that um, artists should look at who their music appeals to.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like I was talking to one of my mentors yesterday, and we were talking about music streaming, and she was like, "Yeah, see, I don't like Spotify and this, that, and the third because da 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 da." And she says, "Let me tell you what I like. Let me think of the name." And I said, "What, Pandora?" And she, "How did you know?" Well, because I know a lot of people in their 40s and up don't want to make a playlist, and they just want to put on, you know, put the artist in and just let it rotate whatever it's going to bring in, and that's how
Mm-hmm.
they listen to music.
More passive,
So
not as active.
exactly. So I think
Yeah.
it's important for artists and just all creators to look at each platform and then also figure out which platform do you want to rock with. Like, you know,
Mm-hmm.
you might be on all of them, but which one do you really want to focus on? And in our conversation previously, I was telling you that I really love Bandcamp.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I love Bandcamp because number one, they're always they seem to be really about the creators. Even if you go to their homepage right now, like every month they update it, they've paid out over $20 million to people on their platform in the last 30 days. You know, like
Amazing.
that type of transparency and that type of just like putting their financials on the forefront like that, you have to respect that. You know what I mean? And I don't have any proof of this, but somehow I think that Bandcamp has cultivated a certain type of listener that
Mm.
buys and that loves to support. And I
Yeah.
just, for whatever reason, I've never ran a campaign like with Bandcamp or anything, but I just have a feeling like they've done something special over there. And I even
Mhm.
I know a producer, and he's been releasing albums on Bandcamp for the past 4 or 5 years now, and he's making probably like $2,000 a month just on
Wow.
his releases, and he doesn't even really promote them that much. So I know that there's something going on that platform that like it's just not widely known. And
Yeah.
I like the fact that they have the feature that when you're listening to something, if you listen to it a lot, it'll stop you and say, wait a minute, you want to pay for this? You want to make a donation? You want to do like, so just like them, like helping the artist in that way, you know, like
Yeah.
sometimes you need to be like, hey, come on now. You done played it 20 times. You love it. Why don't you go ahead and, you know, support the artist? So
Yeah, and keeping that artist at the center of what they're doing too is what I think you're getting at is like they're very transparent about the fact that they're trying to support artists. They're not really like the business is obviously there, but the artist is at the center of what they're doing, which I think is really great just to be that open about that, you know, and that attracts maybe a certain listener like you said who's really there for the artistry and maybe not other things that come with listening platforms.
right. And I think that you know, once you blow and you get to a space where like everybody needs to hear you and everybody matters, well
Yep.
then yeah, like numbers wise, you need to be everywhere. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? And then also I think looking at royalty rates. You know, you have to get, I think the last time I did the math, it was you have to get 3 times the amount of streams on Spotify as you do on Tidal to make the same amount of money.
Wow, that's such a stark difference.
It is. So, you know, it's just, I always, you know, implore artists to like do your research. You know what I mean? This is your music. You don't have to take your music anywhere. Take it where you want and look for a company that, you know, maybe you feel like you have a connection with, or you feel like, you know, they're supporting you or the community at large.
Yeah.
Know?
Yeah, because it's a two-way street, because you know, you're helping them, they're helping you, right? It's a relationship.
And when you know that there are over 40,000 tracks that get uploaded every single day,
Mm-hmm.
you know, you want to make the best decision possible, because it's gonna,
Yeah.
you know, it's gonna affect everything.
Yeah. So it depends, like you said, on the artist's stage, right? Like their stage of career as well.
Mm-hmm.
But it's, you know, this we're debunking. I just want to make that clear. This notion that you always have to be everywhere, no matter what your stage is or who you are. Or, you know, you really have to do your research, like you said.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And how would you suggest artists like start doing that research? Just kind of poke around and look on the different listening platforms, or like, do you have any advice in that?
Yeah, I mean, it's really a personal decision. You know what I mean? Like, if it's all about the money, then I would go for the platforms that pay more. Or I would
Yeah.
focus my efforts on driving traffic to the platforms that pay more.
Yeah, definitely.
Right? Music is everywhere, but where are you driving the traffic? Um, that would be the main thing. I would
Yeah.
look at that, and you know, everyone has a different metric. You know what I mean? If
Mm-hmm.
you're all about, you know, you just want streams, you know, you might want to go to the largest. You know, you
Yeah.
might want to be at Spotify or, you know, any of the other companies. So I just think it's like a personal decision. I think that artists should just take a look at them and see. And, you know, at the end of the day, don't think too hard about which platform you're going on. What you do once you get on that platform is probably more important than the platform you pick.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's always smart too to look at what people who are in your same lane are doing, or where they are. And,
Absolutely.
you know, look at people who have bigger audiences than you, and then people who maybe are at an earlier stage, and just see where they're at, and then use that as a template as well. I love competitor analysis. I think it's always really helpful in a lot of ways. So that's another thing they can do too.
Good idea.
Yeah, yeah, awesome. So let's get to myth number 2. And this myth is that, you know, similar vein, but that artists need to be on every social media channel. And I remember you and I were laughing about that, because it's just like, oof, that makes my heart kind of beat a little faster if somebody tries to be all over social at once. Um, so I wanted to hear your thoughts about how they can maybe take a look at that, and choosing the right social media platform for them instead of spreading all over the place.
Yeah, you know, it's funny because especially now with like TikTok and their takeover, you see like
Mm-hmm.
everybody doing TikTok, and like on my feed sometimes I'm seeing people post TikToks and I'm like, that ain't really like a TikTok type of song. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you're just trying to jump on a bandwagon and hope you catch a wave. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that song is not it. You know what I mean? And I've seen people like continuously try, and I'm like, are they gonna get the message that like this might not be it? But I think it goes back to thinking like, who is your listener? You know,
Yeah.
where's your listener spending their time? I was watching a podcast for a friend of mine, and I told him I was going to send him some notes, and he's been posting on YouTube and posting on Instagram. But he doesn't have any views, but he's on television. So he could actually be getting views if he did some ads. And I told him, I said, your audience is probably more so on Facebook than Instagram.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So again, it's the same type of situation. I think that when you look at um, social media platforms, and then I think it also, another thing I want to say is I think it also depends on who you are as an artist,
Mm-hmm.
right? Some
Absolutely.
people like to post pictures. Some people might want to tweet. You know what I mean? If you don't make dance songs, then don't even think about TikTok. You know what I
Great
mean?
point.
Like, you know, and again, it's that notion like every artist needs to be on every, no, for what? Like, you know, like it just doesn't make sense. We need to start building platforms that power different types of creativity, so people don't feel like they have to get on Instagram or they have to get on TikTok because that's the only way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like music, it's not monolithic. Like it's just so like rich and diverse, and you know what I mean? So I try to encourage people to, when they think about the social media platform, is to also thinking about how they're gonna roll it out. You know what I mean? Like what's your campaign around this song? What's the best platform for this campaign and for this song? You know, you might run one thing on IG and run something else on Facebook.
Right. Yeah. Depending on what works best on those platforms.
Yeah. And,
Yeah.
and whatever is going to be easy for you to be consistent with. Because that's another thing that artists struggle with, is being consistent. And so, you know, if you know you're not going to consistently do it, then figure out a hack around that.
Definitely. And I would only add on to that too, like think long term as well. Like if you want to use a platform for a song, that's awesome. But then it's like, are you just going to abandon that channel after the song or the album? And then what happens to that? And how does that look if it's just sitting there for a year, you know, and music works so fast that doesn't look great. Right. So like
They'll forget about you.
Yeah, I try to give that to people too. It's like, let's look past this quarter at how we're going to use this channel if we decide to go that direction. So definitely. And I know you and I were talking too about live streaming and how that's been so popular with artists, especially right now because tours have been canceled. And you brought up a really great example with Erykah Badu before the Verses that she did with Jill Scott. She chose a certain platform to live stream on. Can you talk about that a little bit? Because I actually didn't know that she was on that platform.
Yeah, you know, I think I had saw that she was advertising, like she was going to be doing a show, and then I didn't go to it, but I heard about it. And then when I saw she was using Maestro to do it, I was like, oh, okay, that's dope. But then on the Jill Scott, she made a remark and she says, oh, it's so hard to get people to go from one platform to the next. And that just like hurt my heart because I know that. And like, that's a problem. You know, you build up millions of followers and then you tell everybody, hey, everybody, I'm throwing a concert at my website, and you got 2 people over there because only 2 people saw the message. Then you're like, like, what did I do? Like, what is going on? You know what I mean? Like, artists need to get in contact with everybody that's following them. You know how hard it is to get following? You know what I mean? Like,
right. And how long it takes too. You can't just tell people to change behavior in one day. They're not going to do it.
They're not going to do it. I have like 5,000 friends on Facebook, and probably none of them follow me on Twitter.
Wow, really? So there's like no crossing there.
No, but if I write about a certain thing on Facebook, I'll have 100 comments.
Wow, that's nuts.
It's not, and I'm saying, hey, everybody, I'm on Twitter, follow me, but they are stuck on Facebook. Like, that's their thing. And so
that's where they hang out.
You know, even as an entrepreneur, like I go to IG for one thing, I go to Facebook for something else, and I go to Twitter for something else.
Yeah.
So
and that's
people are like that.
Human behavior. Yeah. I know. It's always like we were talking about how each social channel is like its own house party, and people don't want to go to multiple house parties. They want to stay at one that they like and they feel comfortable in, and that's where you'll find them most of the time.
Plus, there's only so much time in the day, right? Like, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I don't check TikTok. I check TikTok like once a week maybe, and that's a lot for me. So
yeah, me too. Somebody said you got me back on Twitter. Oh,
I love that.
That's what's up, Kelby. Yes, if anybody is on Twitter, follow me at Go Felisha Go. I would love to engage.
Yes, I like talking to you on Twitter as well. I was kind of anti-Twitter for a while, and now I'm slowly coming back. So I enjoy talking to you as well over there.
Yeah, all the tech folks are there.
I know, and the journalists and the media are there too. So I try to, I'm trying to get back. We're warming up. We're warming up that relationship.
I'm gonna bake you some more Hey, Allison.
Yeah, please. Anytime. You're one of my faves. So myth number 3, because we're already almost out of time, which is crazy. I could talk to you for like hours. So the last myth we wanted to bust in marketing is that artists can rely solely on building buzz and awareness without really delivering a value proposition after, right? And you and I talked about how it's great to build buzz and maybe go viral, all these things, but then it's like, what are you actually giving to your fan base? And I think you had a lot of really great thoughts about that. So can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I think it stemmed. I was having a conversation recently with an artist that was running a campaign on Facebook, and it was his first campaign, and he got a lot of, tweets. I'm not tweets, a lot of shares, a lot of comments, a lot of views on his video. And so then we were talking about, okay, now what is next?
Yeah.
Because now you need to start figuring out your customer acquisition costs. You need to start thinking about, how much money did you spend and what are you getting in return for that? Like, so where does the fan buy in next? And so my theory is that the next logical step for a fan to buy in is at the experience level. I think
Mm-hmm.
they'll buy an experience before a t-shirt, before the vinyl, before the artwork. You know what I mean? Like, because it doesn't require them to go anywhere, and it's probably cheap, and it's like the ease of use. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that definitely as an artist is putting together their rollout for an album, a project, a song, whatever it is, they should really think like succinctly. You go here, 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 here. Like, what are we leading to? So that we can also look at what we spent, what we did, and so that we can analyze, did it work? Did it not work? Did we make
Right.
money? Did we not make money? Did we build fans? Did we not? You know what I mean? So I
Mhm.
definitely think that live experience is what all artists should be offering as a next step.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And even like we were talking about merchandise at first, and even if you are going down the merchandise route, then maybe think about how does that merchandise give them an experience, right? Like we're seeing a lot of artists coming out with like branded masks right now and hand sanitizer. Like that will still add to your fans' experience in a way because they have this very unique thing that stands out, that's relevant, things like that. So it's like, even if you're not creating this like virtual, like Travis Scott Fortnite kind of thing, right?
No
It's
one has
like,
that money.
exactly. I mean, who does have that money? But it's like, at least you can create an experience still, for if you're on a budget and if you're, quick and relevant with it.
Have you seen someone package hand sanitizer?
I heard about an artist doing that, and I've seen a lot of businesses just pivot where they made other products before Corona, and then they just like halted that entire production line and started with sanitizer.
You know what? I'm almost shocked that there's not been a rapper with like a sanitizer and a song.
Yeah,
Hmm.
maybe Future should do that for his new album coming out.
I don't think it would be Future, but it would definitely. It could. I could definitely see somebody doing it. You know what? Somebody probably did do it because I remember someone said at one point there were like 50 songs on Spotify that had coronavirus in the title.
Yep. Yep. Or
So,
quarantine, like Quarantine Love, Quarantine Bay, things like
ah,
that. Yeah, which
yeah.
I got to tell you, I totally loved. There's a couple on my playlist right now that I was like, oh yeah, I'm into this.
Really? What kind of vibes?
I like very like slow romantic R&B kind of vibes for the quarantine love, which I like that. So yeah, I'll send you some, don't worry. Well, this has been great. It's already 6 o'clock, so I wanted to encourage anyone who's on here to leave a question for Felisha. But while they're doing that, so Felisha, this other thing we were talking about is you have to give a lot of feedback to artists in your work. And there's an art to giving feedback, especially to artists. What would you suggest for people who are either seeking feedback or also have to give feedback like you do?
Okay, so for people who are seeking feedback, I would say as excited as you may be to get that feedback, try to relax. Just try to bring it down and kind of get to like an even keel, you know, place.
Yep.
So regardless of what they say, you can like take it in.
Mm-hmm.
I would say never try to oversell the music before someone listens to it.
Good advice.
Just let the music speak to them. And I would say that if you're different, don't expect for someone to like it.
Ooh, so what do you mean by that?
Well, you know, like a lot of artists is like, well, I'm just different. Like, okay, well, if you're just different, like people don't always get different right away.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, like, be open to somebody being like, I don't get that. But if you know that you're next, you're futuristic, like you on that next, like, just be like, okay, you will, but it's cool.
Yeah, and that's tough, right? But I think like trendsetters and visionaries, that's what they have to go through before the mainstream audience gets it, because you're kind of looking ahead instead of where people are.
Right. And then I would say, lastly, don't let any feedback discourage you
Yeah.
because no one likes everything. You don't like everything.
Mm-hmm.
And it's never the end of the world. You know, I think it's about connecting with people who do like your music. And so for the people who are giving feedback, I would say to be respectful, um, to be kind, even if
Always.
even if it sounds like trash to you. You know, like even if
Yep.
it does, but just be kind. Like it's hard out here for artists. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? So, and be constructive. You know, when I listen to music, if I hear something that either I don't like or I think it needs a lot of work, I always like to lead with what I do like.
Yeah.
You know, like, oh wow, the melody is dope. You know what I mean? Or I can hear your idea. Like this
Mm-hmm.
is what I would say a lot because it happened a lot. I could hear the idea, the execution just wasn't fully there.
That's a huge thing I see a lot too.
Yeah. And so I would just say just be constructive with your feedback and remind the person you're giving feedback to that you're just you and they should keep getting feedback from other people.
I love that because we're all human, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So just keep that in your heart when you're getting feedback or giving it.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, well, thank you so much, Felisha, for joining me tonight. Do you want to just let everybody know what you're currently working on, where they can find you, things like that?
Yes. Some of you already know I have an app called Hearback, HEARBK.com. And so I was on the heels of launching it, and then I actually decided to pivot it a bit. And so we're going to be rolling out a new version of it um, in June. But you can definitely check out the version we have now if you want to order feedback from some people. And then you can just follow me on social media at Go Felisha Go for all the updates. I like to post things about the business, about women, about Black and Brown people in
Mhm.
music and tech. And just, you know, I'm really trying to help build
Oh,
my
that's
phone.
all right. You're back. You look good now.
Yeah, I'm just trying to help build the self-esteem of like artists and the culture and like letting everybody know, like, you know, it's time for all of us to take it to the next level.
And you have just such a great background to help people do that because you really do see it from all the other, different types of perspectives. So I think people should definitely go check you out. Definitely keep up with the app. Lots of exciting things happening there. And I just wanted to thank you again for being here. And I'm so glad we're friends now.
I know. Thank you so much for the invitation. And, you know, I'm looking forward to building some more.
Yes, absolutely. And thank you everybody for joining tonight. I will post the recap of this if you know somebody who wants to watch it later. And yeah, stay tuned. Thank you so much, Felisha.
All right. Peace.
Awesome. Have a good night. Bye.